You've seen the shows, the pyramids, the Nazca lines, Stonehenge, an ancient astronaut theorist pointing at a wall carving and telling you with complete confidence that this is clearly a spaceship. And you probably rolled your eyes and changed the channel. Good. You should have. But here's the question that nobody on those shows ever actually asked. If a genuinely advanced civilization visited Earth 10,000 years ago, what evidence would we realistically expect to survive? Not what cable television claims, what physics says, what geology says, what preservation science actually predicts about what lasts across deep time and what vanishes without a trace. Strip out every bad documentary you've ever seen. Rebuild the question from scratch. The honest scientific answer is stranger than anything the Ancient Aliens genre ever produced. And some of what we'd expect to find is sitting in museums right now without a single exhibit label that says what it might actually be. Before you can ask what evidence would survive, you need to understand what survival means across geological timescales. This is the part the shows always skip. Preservation science, the study of what physical materials actually do over thousands and millions of years, is not a mystery. It is a discipline, and it is not kind to optimists. Organic material exposed to soil and moisture is gone within decades. Metal corrodes, wood rots. Plastic, contrary to what you might expect, breaks down into microparticles within a few centuries under UV exposure and microbial action. A civilization that visited Earth 10,000 years ago and built anything using the materials we associate with advanced technology, polymers, organic compounds, standard alloys, would have left almost nothing that a modern archaeologist would recognize as artificial. The archaeological record from 10,000 years ago is already sparse for human civilization, and we know exactly where to look for that. We would have no map for theirs. Here is the first thing that should unsettle you. The most likely behavior of a genuinely advanced, scientifically cautious civilization making contact with a primitive one is minimal footprint. You do not land a spacecraft in the center of a settlement. You do not build permanent structures that announce your presence across millennia. You observe. You make limited contact. You leave. If they were careful, and a civilization capable of crossing interstellar distances would almost certainly be careful, then the absence of overwhelming, obvious evidence is not proof they weren't here. It is precisely what we would predict if they were competent. So what would actually survive? Preservation science gives three categories of evidence that can persist on geological timescales. The first is isotopic anomalies. Certain chemical and nuclear processes leave signatures in rock and soil that do not occur naturally and do not decay on human timescales. A nuclear reactor leaves isotopic ratios in surrounding geology that are detectable millions of years later. We know this because in 1972, scientists discovered that a natural nuclear fission reaction had occurred spontaneously at Oklo in Gabon roughly 2 billion years ago, and the isotopic signature was still readable in the rock. A technological nuclear source, artificial and precisely calibrated, would leave a signature even more distinct. We have found no such anomaly. But we have only examined a vanishingly small fraction of Earth's accessible geology. The absence is not a conclusion. It is a sample size problem. The second category is geometric structures in sufficiently durable materials. Certain stone configurations, specific alloys, and materials with extraordinary resistance to weathering can survive for millions of years under the right conditions. The question is not whether stone lasts. It does. The question is whether any existing structure encodes information or demonstrates manufacturing precision that human technology at the time of its construction could not plausibly have achieved. And here the honest answer gets complicated. The Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 0.05 degrees, a precision that modern engineers using modern instruments find impressive. The granite coffer inside the king's chamber was machined to tolerances of 0.01 inches in 2500 BCE with copper tools. Mainstream archaeology has explanations for all of it. Large, organized labor, accumulated knowledge, trial and error over generations. Those explanations are probably correct, but probably is doing a significant amount of work in that sentence. And then there is the third category. The most durable evidence of outside intervention would not be structural at all. It would be biological. Because biological information encoded in DNA does not decay. It replicates indefinitely. A genetic modification introduced into a population 10,000 years ago would still be readable in every descendant of that population alive today. And the human genome contains two things that evolutionary biologists have been arguing about for decades. The first is FOXP2. A specific mutation in this gene, found in humans but not in other primates, appears to have enabled the complex recursive language structures that make human cognition categorically different from every other species on the planet. It appeared in the fossil record on a timeline that some researchers describe as anomalously rapid. The second is the expansion of the human prefrontal cortex and the acceleration of human cognitive development that occurred over the last 200,000 years, a pace that has no clear parallel anywhere else in the 4 billion-year history of life on this planet. Evolutionary biology has explanations for both: cooking, social complexity, sexual selection. Again, those explanations are probably correct. Probably. But here is the category of evidence that is hardest to explain away. Because if a technologically advanced civilization wanted to leave a signal that would survive not thousands, but millions of years, they would not carve it in stone. Stone erodes. They would encode it mathematically, in something too large to be moved, too precisely positioned to be accidental, and visible across the entire surface of the planet. The moon is exactly the right size, at exactly the right distance, to produce a perfect solar eclipse as seen from Earth's surface, the disk of the moon covering the disk of the sun, with a precision that allows the solar corona to be visible, but the sun's surface to be blocked. This is not common. It is, as far as we know, unique in the solar system. The mathematical relationship is so precise that some physicists have noted, carefully, that it is the kind of geometric ratio that looks like it was placed there. Most of them follow that observation with the word obviously, and then a natural explanation. But not all of them. And on August 15, 1977, a radio telescope at Ohio State University detected a narrowband signal from the direction of the Sagittarius constellation. It matched every parameter that scientists had predicted a genuine alien transmission would carry. The astronomer who found it circled it on the printout and wrote one word in the margin: "Wow." The signal lasted 72 seconds and was never detected again. It has never been explained. It is still in the data. Now, apply Carl Sagan's framework. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. This is not a dismissal of the question. It is the correct scientific posture. The evidence we have reviewed, isotopic anomalies we haven't fully searched for, geometric structures that are impressive but explicable, genetic accelerations that are rapid but not impossible, a mathematical lunar relationship that is striking but could be coincidence, and one radio signal that remains unexplained, does not meet the threshold of extraordinary evidence. It meets the threshold of genuinely interesting data that has not been fully resolved. Those are different things. And the people who collapse that distinction in either direction, the ones who say this proves it and the ones who say this settles it, are both making the same error. Here's the part you haven't considered. Right now, today, you are generating the evidence trail we are searching for in our own past. Every radio broadcast we have transmitted since 1920 is expanding outward as an electromagnetic shell moving at the speed of light. Every nuclear test we have conducted has left isotopic signatures in the geological record. Every satellite we have placed in orbit has altered the near-Earth environment in ways detectable by sufficiently sensitive instruments. If a civilization 400 light-years away has a radio telescope pointed at us, they are currently receiving broadcasts from 1625. We are, at this precise moment, doing exactly what we are looking for evidence of. The question of what an ancient visitor would have left behind is the same question as what we are leaving behind right now. And the honest answer is, mostly nothing that will survive. Unless they were trying to leave something, and unless they were much better at it than we are. If they visited, they were probably careful. If they were careful, most of the evidence is gone. If most of the evidence is gone, what remains is a small set of data points that are each individually explicable and collectively unresolved. We built SETI to listen for civilizations that want to be detected. We have no instrument, no methodology, and no scientific framework designed to find a civilization that visited quietly and left almost nothing behind on purpose. The absence of a signal is not silence. It might be the most sophisticated message we've ever received. We just haven't figured out yet that it's a message, or where to look.